नमस्ते, जय हिंद एंड वेलकम टू क्रिकेट नेक्स्ट लाइव। मेरे साथ मैं हूं आनंद नरसिम्हन और मेरे साथ हैं के श्रीनिवास राव और हम करेंगे लुक बैक इनटू आईपीएल 2023। लेकिन लुक बैक तो आज सुबह की करना पड़ेगा। आज दिन में जो हुआ है, एकदम सुबह सुबह जो हुआ है, देखो बफर करते हुए चेतन नरूला भी आ गए। लेकिन रात को 3 बजे तक, यानी कि कई बार बहुत कम मैंने देखा है कि मैच खत्म हो गया, सब खत्म हो गया, लेकिन फैन स्टेडियम छोड़ के नहीं गए। ये जो नज़ारा देखने को मिला हमको नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम में अहमदाबाद में, कि सुबह 4 बजे तक भी वहाँ फैंस मौजूद थे। एक ऐसा एटमॉस्फेयर था, इलेक्ट्रिक था, जो जिसे कहते हैं पैसा वसूल फाइनल। इतने मोमेंट्स, इतनी सारी बातें, लेकिन मेरे लिए तो तला धोनी जीत गए। लेकिन कई सारी बातें कल हमने भी की, जिसको लेकर के कुछ बातें सही निकली, कुछ बातें इधर उधर हो गई। लेकिन ऑब्जर्वेशंस लार्जली अगर किया जाए कि धोनी रेड द पिच, द कंडीशंस जस्ट परफेक्टली। तो श्रीनी, अमेजिंग मैच। जागे हुए थे 4 बजे तक।
Oh yes, jaga hua tha, and you know what was I think all the stakeholders also from the IPL perspective will be happy about is that you had such a phenomenally good season. It was a wonderful season, one of the finest IPLs that we've seen, and you
Yeah.
needed a final to fit that this thing. Considering match washout ho gaya Sunday ke din, it was had to be quite demoralizing on everybody involved. I know for a fact that BCCI had was completely low down, because they wanted that exciting
Hmm.
finish to what has been an exceptional tournament, and they were happy. On Monday night, 3 o'clock, phone started ringing saying "Maza आया." जी हाँ, मजा आया.
Hmm.
Kind
Hmm.
of. So there एक खुशी का माहौल जो कहते हैं वो बन गया था, and there this picture suggests it all. And Gujarat. I mean, I remember talking to people in Gujarat. Remember talking to people from Gujarat Cricket Association जो मेरे को कह रहे हैं, मैंने कहा यार चेन्नई के लोग पूरे भर डाले थे स्टेडियम, तो कहते हैं अरे सर हमारे यहाँ के लोग हैं लेकिन धोनी के फैन है, येलो टी शर्ट पहन
नहीं, पर चेन्नई से हो, कहीं से भी हो, यही तो हम चाहते हैं कि फैंस ट्रैवल
एग्जैक्टली.
भी कर रहे हैं अपने मैचेस के लिए,
हाँ.
अपने टीम को बैक करने के लिए। और द जोक डूइंग द राउंड्स इज कि आखिरकार जिता है तो गुजराती नहीं है। लेकिन चेतन नरूला, कैसा लगा कल का फाइनल?
अमेजिंग फाइनल एंड फाइनल जैसे श्रीनी ने कहा एंड कल रात को भी हमने इम्प्रॉम्प्टू लाइव किया था तो उस पर भी हमने यही बात की थी कि दिस इज अ फाइनल व्हिच फिट्स द बिल. आईपीएल कमिंग बैक इन अ वे, होम एंड अवे, द फाइनल गोइंग टू द चैंपियंस ऑफ लास्ट ईयर, ऐसे करके जो जो पहले आईपीएल होता था, this has been that sort of a format, this has been that sort of a tournament with travel and this and that and everything, fans involved in every little thing, fans divided according to franchises and everything, so wo sab hame dekhne ko mila hai. And the matches were really good, the impact player had an impact, matches were going really close, high scoring finishes, and it needed jaise Srini ne kaha, it needed to finish in the same vein, it needed to, and the most important thing was it needed to finish on a high note because, like I said, the IPL was coming back, in a way. It was coming back to the average Indian fan. And the kind of tournament we had, usi hisab se, we needed a final like that. And I think yes, Chennai won. Even if Chennai had lost, even if वो चौका छक्का नहीं लगता, जडेजा वो नहीं करते, but I think we got that final. So let's not forget
Went
about
down to
Mohit.
the last ball, na? Went
Yeah, it
down
went
to
down
the
to the
last ball.
last ball. Let's not forget about Mohit Sharma. He got the first 4 Yorkers
Yeah.
in point. एक यॉर्कर को उन्होंने थोड़ा सा शॉर्ट ऑफ लेंथ कर दिया तो उस पर छक्का पड़ गया, और उसके बाद क्या होता है ना, प्रेशर आप पे आ जाता है. लास्ट बॉल उसने फिर यॉर्कर कराने की कोशिश की, लेकिन उसकी लाइन बिगड़ गई. लेंथ वाज आई थिंक
Correct.
स्टिल ओके, लेकिन लाइन बिगड़ गई और उसके बाद चौका लग गया एंड एवरीथिंग. सो माय पॉइंट इज, heart goes out to Mohit Sharma. Well played to Gujarat Titans. Well played to CSK, and obviously cheers for Dhoni. And Jadeja, of course. But at the end of the day, even if Gujarat had won it, I think we would have had this would have been an amazing final. It would have summed up an amazing
Of course.
tournament. So
Yeah.
from that perspective, the high
Yeah.
quality cricket that we saw, I think that is something that कोई जीता कोई हारा उसको एक मिनट के लिए आप बाजू रख दो, but we saw an exceptionally high level of cricket in these last 2 months,
Yeah.
and we saw an
And
exceptionally
we saw
high
moments
level
of
of cricket in
brilliance.
the
Yeah.
last 2 days as well. So
Yeah, not just high level. I'm just saying moments of brilliance, and we also saw a team effort. If you see, both sides did not
जी
rely only on their 1, 2 people. It was not about 1 or 2 people. This was an entire team that did. See, I'm just saying, Dhoni calls the toss right, says Barish ho sakti hai, and Barish happens just as CSK has just played 3 balls. It target gets reduced, but that moment of brilliance ki Dhoni kya hai एज अ कीपर हम लोग उसको एज अ कैप्टन देखते हैं एज अ कीपर दैट 0.12 सेकंड में जो स्टंपिंग इफेक्ट किया शुभमन गिल आउट ऑफ द इक्वेशन एंड देन एन अनलाइकली हीरो इन साई सुदर्शन who takes Gujarat titles beyond the 200 mark. So many moments which were there, and even the chase of 175 in 15 overs was so up and downy till the last over. Everybody thought it will go either way. It was like that
Right from the
unlikely
beginning.
heroes, you know.
Right from the beginning, when Chahar dropped that catch, Dhoni ka,
Yeah.
I just thought that the Tim David moment had happened.
He
The
dropped
Tim
the
David,
cup. He dropped the cup the way Shubman was
and
batting.
this was Tim David का जो catch था, वो तो ठीक है थोड़ा बहुत मतलब ये तो मतलब this was a sitter that he dropped, हाथ का catch, right? और मुझे लगा कि गया. I mean, he's giving Shubman another lease of life, and then we all actually saw. I mean, look at the kind of Shubman was back to kind of. That is why that stumping, whoever orchestrated. See, in hindsight now, when I'm looking at that dismissal, it clearly looks like an orchestrated dismissal.
Plan
It's
किया
not
था.
just
I told you,
happens.
Srini, last night. I told you, Srini, last night. It was planned, and I'll
Yeah.
finish. Then I'll again talk about
So
it.
yeah, I mean, and now in hindsight, it doesn't look like happenstance. So for purely in terms of whoever kind of devised it, orchestrated it, thought about it, full marks, because that is the moment that changed the game. Although I think that Gujarat may have lost the game in the initial partnership between Sai Sudarshan and Riddhiman Saha.
Vridhiman
I think
Saha.
between the 6th, 7th over and the 12th to 13th over, until when I think Saha got out, I think in the 13th over, and this guy Gill
Sundar
went
Singh
out in
Brodie.
the 7th over. So between
हाँ.
the 7th and the 13th over, I thought cricket was pretty pedestrian from a T20 standpoint, from a final standpoint. Those 5 overs, and that is what has cost Gujarat.
आई थिंक मुझे तो मैं मानता हूँ अगर ये स्टंपिंग ये जो मोमेंट जो चेतन आप कह रहे हो कि इट वाज थॉट आउट एंड वील कम टू दैट इन एंड आई कम टू ऑन दैट मुझे ऐसा लगा कि ये अगर मोमेंट नहीं होता तो वो जो 214 चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स चेस कर रही है वो 240
Oh
भी हो
yes,
सकता था
oh yes.
क्योंकि
yes.
जिस लय में वो देख रहे थे हाँ चेतन
So you're absolutely right. वो 214 की जगह पे 214 की जगह पे 241 होता. And I agree with Srini, but again, I also disagree with him on certain points that he says कि उस वजह से वो हारे नहीं. I think वो हारे because somehow the rain intervened to make sure that it was a 15-over game. If it was a 20-over game, probably Chennai would not have won.
Correct.
Probably.
I agree.
Because at some point they started losing steam in.
और वही बारिश जो है ना 1 घंटे बाद होती चेतन कहाँ गया
हाँ मैं यहीं पे हूँ
हाँ नहीं थोड़ा तुम ऐसा फ्रीज हो गए थे 1 सेकंड के लिए मैं कह रहा हूँ अगर वही एज यू कंप्लीट योर पॉइंट अगर वही बारिश 1 घंटे बाद होती तो भी मैच गुजरात टाइटंस के पास जाता
So my point, my only point here is कि I'm not going to blame Gujarat at all for the loss. मतलब या किस रीजन से वो हारे वो बस एक जैसे हार्दिक ने कहा ना वो डेस्टिनी थी MS की. We want him to come back and he said he's going to come back, but even if he doesn't come back, this was the lasting moment. So वो डेस्टिनी थी. उन्होंने लास्ट बॉल की आंखें बंद कर ली. He was probably thinking about victory. He was very emotional last night. He wants to come back. Whether he can come back or not, that's a separate debate, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But that stumping, going back to that stumping, ये मैंने कल रात को भी श्रीनी को बोला, सुरम्या को बोला कि ट्वीट भी किया. Today was like out है, and Dhoni was like, that's it. ये किया धोनी ने. He did not look up to the replay. He did not look up anything. He was confident from that particular moment. I have got Shubman Gill, and we've been looking for magic from Dhoni from his bat. That's not going to come. He's not the same batsman he was. We know him. He was not. He's not going to give us more than 2-3 balls. अगले साल शायद हमें वो भी नहीं मिलेगा. The magic that we need to see from him was from his captaincy, was from his keeping. Qualifier 1 में हमने उनकी captaincy का जादू देखा है. ये moment, this was the magical moment from MS Dhoni that we've been waiting for throughout the tournament. Also, he knew this, that Shubman is in such form कि अपनी मिस्टेक की तो वो आउट हो जाएगा, और उसने की मिस्टेक, उसने दे दी कैच, लेकिन चहर ने नहीं पकड़ी. I am betting everything. I have covered MS Dhoni from 2010 to 2000 till now. Obviously, till he was playing international cricket, I was there. I've covered IPLs and everything. From what I am saying this, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but from what I've covered, what I've seen of Dhoni, जितना मैंने उनको अंतरराष्ट्रीय क्रिकेट में और आईपीएल में कवर किया है, I am telling you, he thought this out. He thought this out कि अगर शुभमन पेस पे नहीं आउट होगा, उसको स्पिन पे मैं ऐसे आउट करूंगा, जडेजा की बॉल पे स्टंपिंग का चांस आएगा, and he stands. See, you have to understand why he's so quick. Why he's so quick with his stumping is because उनकी कीपिंग का स्टाइल इज अनऑर्थोडॉक्स. His hands don't go back. When you're keeping, your hands are supposed to go back and collect. He collects the ball forward. That is unorthodox. और उसकी वजह से he cuts the time for the glove to come forward and take the stumps out. He collects the ball here and he stumps. ऐसे करके stump नहीं करता है वो. ऐसे stump. This cuts down the time, and he was standing even farther कि glove बिल्कुल stump के आगे चला जाए, बस एक distance रह जाए. This was, I can bet everything. I can bet everything to say this was thought out from Dhoni. ये मौका मिलेगा, मैं ऐसे करूँ.
Thought out, but again, you also have to take into consideration the fact that in this guy's career, luck has continued to play such a strong role.
Yes, absolutely. You know, he is Destiny's child.
Planning, devising the dismissal or orchestrating it is one thing, and to actually wait for a guy in Shubman's kind of form who would once again, kind of, we survived a chance, and then again for him to actually go ahead and fall to that trap is again takes that stroke of luck. I mean, winning the toss on a day when it mattered. Every little thing.
अरे यार, last two balls ही देख लो ना. He puts his head down in prayer, and those two balls from four
exactly
balls,
the last ball,
half volley and one down the leg, which shot point to the boundary. Yeah, it was as if like he was willing Ravindra Jadeja to do it and Mohit Sharma to bowl it like that.
Anand, apart from his family, he will never tell anybody probably what he was thinking with his eyes closed on that last ball. But if I have to guess, he was with all his might willing Jadeja to score those 4 runs. He was willing Destiny to do it for himself one more time. जो emotion हमें देखी, सब कुछ देखा, वो धोनी की नहीं दिखता है यार. And it happened because, of course, it has to happen for him. It will always happen for him. And I mean, a magical night, magical Dhoni night, magical Chennai. I mean, sometimes I think, मेरे से ना इतनी बार सौम्या ने पूछा है कि, who do you cheer for? Yesterday, it just felt कि I've converted into a CSK fan, that sort of a thing.
लेकिन एक बात बताओ, अभी जल्दी से, इससे पहले कि हम जो स्टैंड आउट स्टार्स, जो युवा पीढ़ी की बात करें, जो पोस्ट मैच जो मैजिकल, दैट विक्ट्री के बाद जो जडेजा भाग के गया और जो धोनी ने उसको उठाया अपने कंधे पे, और जो रो पड़ा, भाई I have not seen Dhoni ever 2007 का T20 वर्ल्ड कप एज अ कैप्टन डेब्यूट भी मैंने ये इमोशन नहीं देखा जो कल हमने धोनी से देखा. What went there? What was that? Because Dhoni, I think, was very candid. He said ki, it's my last. It's on my way out. And throughout this tournament, the fans have given me so much. First, पहले दिन भी रोया हूँ, last day भी रोया हूँ. That's what he said, Srini, to Harsha.
Yes, I mean, and see, the way he spoke yesterday, it never the guy to give away, on the emotional aspect. Like, it's very rare to see him speak so emotionally, and I don't remember, actually. I don't, even in 2015 when he gave up his test captaincy in the middle of a series in Australia and he held a press conference, I don't really see him remember him speaking so emotionally. But yeah, last night, sorry,
I was there in that press conference. आप finish करो फिर बात करते हैं.
Yeah. So Sydney press conference where and I've rarely seen him address it. So this thing, and yes,
2011 वर्ल्ड कप also मैंने ये इमोशन नहीं देखा. इससे पहले के 4 टाइटल में आईपीएल के नहीं देखा. जो
maybe Anand, that's what age does. That's what age does, and that's why when kind of when you reach that stage in your career when you have to start looking back. and the years begin to flow by. I mean, I think that's when emotions tend to get the better
नहीं
of
नहीं,
me.
और उसका जो कोट यहाँ डाला हुआ है उसमें भी वो ये कहता है ना, इट्स वेरी इजी फॉर मी टू वॉक अवे। सब कुछ तो
Yeah.
हो गया, मैं तो
Of
अब
course.
टाटा बाय बाय कर सकता हूँ, लेकिन द टफ थिंग इज फॉर मी टू वर्क हार्ड हार्ड फॉर अनदर 9 मंथ्स। और कह रहा अब अगर खेलूंगा तो मैं फैंस के लिए खेलूंगा, इट इज माय गिफ्ट टू देम, आई ओव इट टू देम फॉर व्हाट दे हैव गिवन मी दिस सीजन। या चेतन।
So Srini mentioned that press conference. I was there 2015, 2014 में. First of all, 30th December को he retired from Test cricket.
Yeah.
किसी को खबर नहीं होने दी. टेस्ट मैच के बारे में बात किया. इंडिया had drawn that टेस्ट मैच. हमारे को किसी को नहीं बताया, मीडिया को आया, प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस किया, हो गया. हम लोग अपना काम कर रहे थे, ईमेल आ गया कि ही इज रिटायर्ड फ्रॉम टेस्ट क्रिकेट. हमारे तो रात वहीं खराब हो गया पहली बार. ठीक है, हमारे दौड़े, सारे काम कर रहे हैं, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं. उसके बाद रवि शास्त्री वाज द डायरेक्टर ऑफ क्रिकेट एट दैट टाइम. आई स्पोक विद हिम, डिड अ कपल ऑफ इंटरव्यूज, इधर उधर सब कुछ किया. एंड देन सिडनी में ही वाज स्टेइंग ऑन. सो ही स्टेड ऑन फॉर द टेस्ट मैच. ही डिड नॉट गो होम. पूरे वो 5 महीने वहीं पे रुका. ही डिड नॉट गो होम. आई रिमेंबर हिज डॉटर वाज बोर्न इन February. There was this 10-day break between the Australia tour and the World Cup. He could have gone home. He did not. He spent the time with Mohit Sharma, Shami, and the Pacers, Indian Pacers, and MS Dhoni were in a resort in Adelaide, and they were constructing strategies for the World Cup. He could have gone home. He did not go home. He had the time to go, make a trip, come back. He did not. Why? Army man spirit. ठीक है. I'm on. उसका answer यही था कि I'm on national duty. But I remember Sydney में he was chilling. He was very chilled out after the retirement. I met him at an Indian restaurant. He was sitting there with Suresh Raina. Indian खाना खा रहे थे Sydney में, and that was during the Sydney Test match. And then the tri-series started, and he came obviously for the preview press conference, and everybody wanted to ask him about the Test retirement. And he was like, "I'm here to talk about the ODIs and the World Cup. वो हो गया जो होना था." And what about it? So he knows what he wants to do, and and again, that thing about the easy decision and the tough decision. Walking away after playing that Melbourne Test match and leaving Virat in charge of the 4th Test match, that was a tough call. He did that tough call. He's always made those tough calls. It might seem easy कि ये जो करता है, but he's made tough calls for the betterment of Indian cricket, and now he's going to and yes, ठीक है, injury है, maybe surgery is needed, maybe this and that, लेकिन अगर कोई कर सकता है fans के लिए the tough work, the hard work, MS Dhoni can.
That 2015 captaincy going to Virat Kohli, I remember there's this beautiful anecdote about MS. I was sitting with Ravi and Bharat Arun, and I was having this chat, and I told him, I said, when did that decision to give the captaincy to Virat, was it in the making, or what was it? So he says, Bharat Arun, this is Bharat Arun telling me, he says MS is a great judge of people, especially uske bacche agar hain, he's a great judge of people. Now what he saw in Virat at that time, at that moment, was the hunger that Virat was showing to actually grab the leadership role. A moment, earlier, if he had given it to him before time, probably it would not have done justice, maybe made him wait a little too long, maybe frustration would have crept in. MS thought about it at that juncture, that this is the time. And I remember the words that Bharataran exactly precisely used. He said, here was this tiger in the room. It's like fighting for its space. And that space had to be made available to that beast, and Virat had become that beast in the room. And that space had to be, and MS clearly understood it. As we go forward in this conversation, this was about Virat. I'll give you a couple of other anecdotes involving Hardik Pandya and his a wonderful friendship with MS. But this one, since we are on the topic, in Australia.
And
एक काम करते हैं, मैं बस हमारे दोस्तों को और टीम को भी कहना चाहता हूँ कि हम लोग इसको 2 पार्ट करने वाले थे. CSK फाइनल धोनी प्लस उसके बाद यंग स्टार्स. तो ये जो युवा स्टार्स हैं और टैलेंट एमर्जिंग 11 है, उसको हम पार्क कर रहे हैं, उसको रिजर्व डे में रखते हैं. इसके बारे में कल बात करेंगे. आज हम लोग सिर्फ अभी धोनी, चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स और धोनी पर ही बात करेंगे. तो जिसको भी कोई सवाल पूछना है, बोलिए. विनीत कुलकर्णी हैड अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग दिस वन कि धोनी हिमसेल्फ इज अ केस स्टडी इन इटसेल्फ. थैंक यू विनीत. हाँ, चलिए. हाँ, सबको श्रीनी की कहानियां सुननी है. हाँ, और चेतन नरूला की कहानी सुननी है. हाँ, बोलो. हाँ
I just want to add to what Srini said about the captaincy exchange. ये है 2014 में ही हुआ था, ये 2014-15 में ही हुआ था. 2014 England tour पे I was there. Dhoni was leading the captaincy, and we lost what, 4-0. We lost 5 test match. No,
yeah
sorry, we lost 3-1 in those 5 test matches. We lost 3-1. And second
हाँ
test match तक ओवल में लीड ले लिया, फिर अगले 3 test match हार गए.
हार गए थे
मैनचेस्टर,
हाँ
Southampton, Manchester, and the Oval we lost. And the Oval पे I just asked him कि हो गया, मतलब you've been captain for so long. Do you think you have taken Indian cricket as test captain as far as you could? Because already people had started talking about Virat Kohli, this and that, and he was like, yeah, maybe yes, but this is not my decision to make. He was very clear that maybe yes, I have taken Indian test team as far as I could, but it is not my decision to make. And I remember उसके बाद West Indies के 2 test match हुए, he was captain again. Then he got injured, and that's why he did not play in Adelaide. And that is the point. He himself knew that time आ रहा है. Adelaide में he did not play. India played under Virat. Very different side. We went back to Brisbane and Melbourne. Very different side. And knowing him, he knew when to exit. That was the crux
yeah
of that tour. He knew when to exit. And एक और चीज भी ये बात है कि जैसे जो शेर वाली बात कही है ना, he knew कि this is Virat's team, and he just didn't feel he should be a part of that. So that to give him space to grow and everything, to forge a different pathway, and for him to be able to concentrate on white ball cricket. I think that was very, very important decision at that particular time.
Yeah. You're talking about Hardik Pandya, to Srini, Hardik Pandya, and then we'll come back to Dhoni on with CSK itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Champions Trophy, England, 2017. He was there, Krunal was there, Krunal's wife was there, the whole family was there. And they were having, obviously, kind of things were going well. Behind the scenes, of course, different kinds of dramas were playing out. But Hardik being Hardik, अपनी दुनिया में मस्त था, happy boy. नए नए शौक से, I mean, वो लड़के के उसको पहले बचपन से शौक था of vehicles, bikes. He used to have his bike. Obviously, as a young boy, he had a Hero Honda kind of a thing where he struggled to pay his EMIs. He's spoken about it in the past. Now, when money started coming in, prosperity started showing. Obviously, his love, he had to, kind of spend a bit of money and fulfill his thing. So, London में, his eye fell on a bike. Okay, it was a Ducati series ka tha. His eye fell on it, and he just wanted it. That's it. He just loved it. He said, "I'm taking this back home." Krunal, who for the longest time has had a huge effect on him as an elder brother, tried to convince him. Nahi suna. Called Pankhuri. Krunal's wife's name is Pankhuri. Called Pankhuri. Krunal and Pankhuri sat. कि यार क्या है, जरूरत नहीं है, नहीं सुना. Eventually, husband and wife went to the one man that they had to fall back on, to Mr. MS Dhoni. And they said, boss, do something. You can explain it to him. If anybody can, if he will listen to anyone, it is you. So this is what he's bent on doing. Why don't you do something? तो MS शाम को उसको बुलाया. Come, sit. Took his iPad. Okay. And on his iPad, he began showing him his collection of bikes. And he showed him like some 25, 30, whatever number of bikes that he has. He showed it to him. And then he told him, of all these bikes, these are the 2 that I had until 2011. Everything else that you see here came after 2011.
11.
In that he got the message. पहले तो कुछ कर ले, जिंदगी पड़ी है बाइक्स खरीदने के लिए. Life is left.
2017 में, 2017. Yeah, go ahead.
And I can tell you with Hardik, so many things he wants to do right now, and he's stopping himself for that one ICC title, which he thinks, and my bhai supports him. He says कि 2024 में मैं लेके आने वाला हूँ. He's waiting for that. Yeah.
Lovely, interesting.
There was this other incident. Obviously, Anil Kumble was the coach at that particular time, and obviously the whole issue crept up. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but to bring the saga to an end, एक point पे ये चीज हो गई थी. They were, the big wigs of Indian cricket were trying to somehow make sure कि patch up हो जाए, we can continue in the same way. But it was very, very clear by the end of the tournament कि patch up होने का there is very, very little chance. The way things had been going, and what people don't know, that things hadn't been going on for just 1 or 2 months. It had actually been going on for more than 9, 10 months. That way, and it was just a time of कि something has to give. And behind the scenes, MS Dhoni did play a role without the thing exploding. Because obviously he was a very a senior figure. He was still a very senior figure in the Indian white ball team, and he played. I'm not going to go into the details, but he played a major role in making sure that this doesn't explode, and the message is delivered to Anil Kumble and Virat Kohli in a very calm way. That look, things are not going to work out, and it's better that the Indian team goes its own path, and Anil Kumble goes his own path, and that way. So I'm just going to say that. मैं detail में नहीं जाऊँगा. Srini knows the details. So and the fact of the matter is कि उस time पे भी he was very much the part of the side. He was very much leading from the front, and he was very much taking care of. जैसे Srini ने पहले कहा था कि his kids, he was very much taking care of the entire team and the way and the direction the team was going to take under him.
This is a very, this is a lesson that MS has learned majorly from N. Srinivasan, the India Cements boss, who's been a major influence in MSG, the biggest influence in MSG's life off the field, right? And N. Srinivasan always had this strong belief. I'll tell you from an investment standpoint, where again, I mean, he's a fighter. I mean, like, kind of for the business that he built for himself and the company. So from an investment standpoint and from a BCCI standpoint, I'll say this about N. Srinivasan. He's a strong believer that you and me within the organization may have our differences. We will debate, we will fight, we will do whatever it takes to come out with a better product, to come out with a better work, right? But we will never allow a third party to interfere between our fight. That fight will be between you and me. If we have to fight the outsider, you and me will be one. Right? ये एक lesson है that MS picked from NS's life. Maybe not the word fight. I'm not going to use the word fight here, but again, the philosophy was that you and me, we may continue to have our differences, right, in whatever we do,
but always pose a united front to anybody outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When it
Always
comes to the
present a
outsider,
united front.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that
I don't know. इसकी बहुत सारी stories हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा stories हैं in terms of the outsider thing, that the team is the team. ये जो spirit है ना कि what stays in the dressing room stays in the dressing room, doesn't go out of the dressing room, that was actually started by MS Dhoni. In a way मैं ये भी कहूँगा कि ये जो divide आ गया है Indian media और Indian cricketers के बीच में, in a way that was planted by MS Dhoni, but obviously he had a good reason for that. We as a collective Indian media hasn't always behaved itself, but ताली हाथ से नहीं बजती है. So but he did that. I can understand why he did that. He did that to protect his family. He did that to protect the people that he was playing with. So that really matters on multiple levels. But बहुत सारी stories हैं ये जो dressing room वाली बातें हैं कि बाहर ना जाएं, ये ना हो, वो ना हो. Very, very.
Yeah, very interesting conversation. There are a lot of anecdotes about Mahi, and also how he conducted himself even when the entire IPL controversy happened with Chennai Super Kings, the spot fixing, match fixing, how difficult it was for him, and there are a lot of things which happened behind the scenes. But now 2000 के नोट की तरह धोनी की रिटायरमेंट भी बैन कर दो. Some amazing posters that we saw yesterday from the fans also who love him. But I want to understand after you complete, Srini, who next? Is Dhoni now going to mentor somebody? Is it Ravindra Jadeja or is it Ruturaj Gaikwad? Has Dhoni already identified who after him to helm Chennai Super Kings? Do we see that after last evening? Is it going to go back to Jadeja again?
No, so this is what I have maintained. I'll come back to this. Yes, I believe Ruturaj Gaikwad is the name that I have been saying this for a while. That he's the young man who's been identified as the next and the future leader of Chennai Super Kings. But before I get there, you brought out a very important point, and it's a very important moment to touch upon that. You know, one of the lowest periods in MSG's life, the spot fixing episode.
Yeah.
Chennai Super Kings getting banned for 2 years. Okay, um, let me just kind of put this in perspective from an MSS standpoint. I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but from an MSS standpoint, you know, superstardom is a very lousy space to be, as much as it's a very beautiful space to
Yeah.
be. Okay? The point is, everybody wants a piece of you all the time. Okay, you have to be giving, you have to be really giving all the time. The moment you block yourself from giving, you are again kind of shunned into a corner for being whatever, selfish, arrogant, and blah 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 blah, right? So it is a bane as much as it is a boon. And in MS Dhoni's life, post so I'll go, and this is I'm saying because this is part of a conversation that I've had with some of his closest friends. I'll give you a classic example. How many of y'all remember um, Jayaprakash, the Railways cricketer from, I forget his second name. Oh, you remember Chetan? Jayaprakash,
You don't remember his
something.
second name. No.
Anyways, a Railways cricketer. Okay. I remember covering a Dulip Trophy match as a young boy in Nagpur. Okay. MS Dhoni was part of that squad. And I remember हम लोग खड़े थे as reporters, we used to be allowed to go on the field. और कहते थे कि यार कोई इसके बारे में लिखो, 2 लाइन तो लिखो. This is I'm talking about 2002 2001. Okay. I remember Jayaprakash saying like, अरे यार इसके बारे में कोई तो लिखो, बढ़िया प्लेयर है यार, कभी देखो तो इसको खेलते हुए. And we didn't have the time. We didn't have the time, kind of, because we had never seen the boy. We had never seen him play until until the Challenger Trophy in Bombay, where he scored that 90 odd. We had never seen him in action. We didn't know what kind of a talent MS Dhoni was. Why I'm saying this is because that uh, wanting to belong at a certain level, in a group, among people, in the media, in a certain ecosystem, within a certain circle, that whole feeling of wanting to belong is a very human emotion which
Yeah.
cannot be explained, which is the same thing that Hardik has also undergone. Hardik मेरे को कहता
Correct.
है, today people tell me you should mind your language. Because Srini, 10 साल पहले तक, if I had to say something, people didn't have the time to listen to me.
Listen to me.
Suddenly I'm so important that people want to hold on to every word that I say.
Hmm.
And that also stands true for MS to a large extent. There was a time when he wanted to say things, when he wanted to talk, when he wanted to be seen, and nobody bothered. And suddenly,
Motivated.
when he was a superstar and time was getting lesser and lesser for everyone, everybody wanted a piece of him. I have seen that evolution very closely from 2004 to 2007, how with each passing tournament, MS Dhoni became busier and busier and busier.
And
Every
quieter and quieter and quieter.
Yeah, in 2006, Greg Chappell's 2005, Greg Chappell's first tour to Sri Lanka, the triangle, the tri-series between India, Sri Lanka, and West Indies. I was in the preparation for that. Greg Chappell had called for a 1 month camp in NCA, Bangalore. Okay, and I was parked there in Bangalore for almost 20 days. I remember every day I used to stand outside at NCA gate when the players used to walk out.
Hmm.
MS Dhoni used to be the last guy walking out. Okay. And I didn't know at that time that his nickname was Mahi. Gradually, we were beginning to know things about him, right?
Yeah.
He had not even made his India debut. And I used to be like, Mahendra Singh ji, Mahendra Singh ji. Like, every day he would walk out. And I was also a very young reporter. And like, I wanted to talk to him. And he would walk out. Every day he would like, भाई बहुत थक गया हूँ यार, एक पैसे की एनर्जी नहीं बची है, बहुत थक गया हूँ, कभी और फुर्सत मिल जाए बात कर लेंगे, कभी भी फुर्सत मिल जाए बात कर लेंगे. 3 or 4 times I caught hold of him going out of the NCA, always the last guy to leave. And I used to ask him, आज बात कर लें, बहुत थक गया हूँ, बहुत थक गया. मैं उसको याद भी दिलाना है कि आज तक तुझे बात नहीं किया बैठ के. But that's it. But that's it. From there on, he just kept on going busier. 2007,
Correct.
Mahindra launched its Scorpio, the brand,
Yeah.
and he was the brand ambassador. And I remember he had just come back from the T20 World Cup with that 7 ka locket. That same MS Dhoni, who 2 years ago was saying, "Bhai, बहुत थक गया हूं, आज माफ कर दे," to that evening at the Mahindra Scorpio launch, where he didn't have time for Anand Mahindra. He was busy. I mean, genuinely didn't have time.
So
He was that
you
busy. How his life, kind of
this
changed.
this railways cricketer is Jayaprakash Yadav, is it?
Ah, Jaiprakash Yadav. Jaiprakash Yadav. Jaiprakash
Jayaprakash
Yadav.
Jayaprakash Yadav
JP,
was,
JP,
yeah,
JP Yadav.
JP is somebody who always believed and he backed, he's lobbied a lot for Mahi,
बहुत
because he always believed
बहुत
कि
सपोर्ट किया.
इस लड़के में
हाँ,
बहुत स्पेशल
बोलता
है,
था.
क्योंकि
ही यूज्ड टू टेल अस.
वही
जेपी
कि
यूज्ड टू
हम
टेल अस
लोग
लाइक, अरे यार
हम
लिखो
लोग
इसके बारे में, लिखो इसके बारे
आज
में.
दोस्ती कर लो,
सो
आज आज जान लो इसको, क्योंकि कल पता नहीं
व्हाई डिड
आपको
दिस
इसके
कम
आपको
आउट?
इसके पीछे दौड़ना पड़ेगा. So he
नो,
said that to a lot of people. A lot of
व्हाई
people
दिस
mocked JP for that at that time. But
no, why this
anyway,
also came out, Anand, is because, to quickly conclude, is that this spot fixing thing also. See, the thing is na, here is a guy, you don't know. I mean, आप फोन पे बात कर रहे हो, किसी को आप फोन पकड़ा रहे हो, आपके बाजू फोटो फ्रेम में कौन खड़ा है, आपके बर्थडे पे कौन केक कट कर रहा है, आप किसके साथ डिनर पे जा रहे हो, किसके साथ लंच पे जा रहे हो. एंड ये 2008 के बाद में, 9 के बाद में लोग धीरे धीरे सीखना शुरू किए. आई एम सेइंग दैट for a guy at that level to maintain, to know at all
no, it
times
must have
who
been.
you
See,
are
I
with.
tell you, it must have been tough. See, because see, like you said, he's the heart and soul of CSK. Now, if he is
Yeah,
taking, he was there in the team matches, and if Gurnath Mayappan was sitting there, he was sitting there in good faith. Now, you don't expect a Mahi to know that this team is going to be leaked or somebody is betting behind him. You don't expect, but at that time, nobody gives you the benefit of the doubt because they expect you as a captain to
exactly.
know everything. Everybody they say, "Ki, boss, how can you not know? How can you not know that things that you are doing on the field are getting leaked or somebody's making money behind your back?"
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
so at that, see, that's what, like I said, superstardom is always a double-edged sword. When the going is
double
good,
edged.
everybody is your champion. The same group turns around to bay for your blood within minutes, not even hours. So that's what that's a reality. But one interesting tweet you mentioned, Anand Mahindra. So Anand Mahindra today has tweeted that he's going back for one more season. That's good, but he shouldn't be playing cricket for long. Chetan Narola, he's saying that he should move into politics. He says he was part. If you see that, no, and I'll tell you what he says. He says he was with me and Jay Panda in the NCC rules formation. And he says, as astute as a cricketer he is, he's also a very sharp mind because he's quiet. But when he makes suggestions, those are long lasting suggestions, all hallmarks of a leader. That's what he has said. फाइनल वर्ड ऑन धोनी एंड देन वील वाइंड अप. आज देखो यार, धोनी पे बात करके 38 मिनट हो गए, देखो.
अरे अभी तो
He
और
has
एक
got, he
अभी तो
potentially
बहुत
has
कुछ
a
बचा
great
है.
political future, but I doubt he'll ever move there.
हम्म, हम्म.
फाइनल वर्ड तो यही है कि if there's anybody who can do it for the fans, he can. There's nobody else. I mean, with the spirit of giving back, not just giving back to the fans, yeah, giving back to the nation, the way he thinks he
Yeah,
belongs in an army. He's that army man spirit. वो giving back वाला value वहां से आता है. Otherwise,
correct.
why
Anand
would
mentioned
why
it.
would he have to give anything back? He's taken the accolades, he's taken everything. It would have been very, very easy to walk off yesterday and say, okay, you know what, this was my last game, I'm done. He's done his farewell thing, he's got the accolades, he's got the love and affection. That's never going away. But the fact that he wants to give something back, that's something that only an army man can do, really. And that's the spirit he's always carried for
Anand,
Team India as well. So
Anand, you mentioned in, I think, the previous show, where you said that you talked about the forces, right?
Yeah.
You're 100% right on that. Now that
Hmm.
Chetan mentions forces, it comes to mind. Yeah, 100% he will, whether he does it next year or the next to next year. He will go and spend time there. That is outside of CSK. If he's
no,
right
he
now
already
passionate about doing something, that
does.
is
No,
To an
fine.
he's
extent,
been, see,
he
he's
does
been
to some
regular with his courses.
extent.
See,
Not regular. Not regular.
Hmm?
He already does do that to a
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
extent. He
Yeah.
yeah. He
goes,
does.
he goes,
No, no. I'm saying,
He
he'll go away. He'll go away to spend time with
he's
them.
done
That's what.
what is mandatory. And
but I was
also
talking from a
I think उसका
giving back.
inside story ये है कि at no point and I think it was a request that he quietly made to the officer in command, senior officers, that don't treat me differently. and he said that I want everybody to think of me just as a buddy, as somebody who's training with them and who's part of them, because that's how I want to be. And I think after the first day of awe among the whole thing, I think the instruction was very clear कि कोई फोटो नहीं लेने जाएगा, कोई ऑटोग्राफ नहीं लेने जाएगा, कोई सेल्फी नहीं लेने जाएगा. And I think that was order that came from there, and all of that happened towards the end, because by then he had already become their friend. So I think he's in touch with a lot of the unit and the ones who he's trained with. This is what I was told very clearly, that outside of those fan moments, photo ops, and all of that, he was very clear. I don't want any special treatment, and I want to be just like every other soldier is treated. So I think that is something which you respect. You respect such qualities. You respect such focus and absolute clarity. I think those are things you'd want to learn from people like that. Like you said, he's Destiny's Child, but he's also worked very very hard. And वो कहते हैं ना, जब आप पूरी शिद्दत से कुछ करते हो, and you push yourself to condition yourself to be a certain aligned, align yourself to be in a certain way, and you show that dedication. I think karma also comes back and says, blesses you and says, all right, तुमने इतना खपाया, इतनी जान दी है, तो मैं तुमको इतना रिटर्न भी देता हूँ. So I think that's how it works, and I'm only happy for him. चलिए दोस्तों, ये बात तो लंबी चलेगी, लेकिन आज हमने एक वेटरन, एक स्टॉलवर्ट, एक आइकन के बारे में बात किया है. कल टुमारो स्टार्स इस 2023 आईपीएल सीजन में कौन निखर के आया है, कौन ऐसे सामने खड़ा हुआ जिसको देख के आप लोगे कि भाई आगे कबर्ड बेयर नहीं है, आगे भी फ्यूचर है, कि दोज पीपल हु विल ड्रॉ द क्राउड्स इन द नियर फ्यूचर, जिनके लिए लाख लोग खड़े रहेंगे, एक दिन वेट करेंगे, होटलों में रहेंगे, रात के 4 बजे तक रुकेंगे और फिर चिल्लाएंगे, उनका नाम लेंगे. क्या ऐसे स्टार्स हमें अब दिखे हैं इस सीजन में? विल टॉक अबाउट देम टुमारो. बाय फॉर नाउ.